Welcome to Vibrant Voices. I'm your host, Charles Allen, and this is part 3 of a 3-part interview with Mexican director Reynaldo Escoto.
And as I told you, we had children from the open public, anyone that saw it in the news, in the media, in the social media, and it heard it in the radio, and also a group of families from a shelter, from a migrant shelter, that had their children coming to the screening as well. And man, children are very honest. I mean, I don't wanna like establish that they can also lie to us as well. But I mean, they go straight to the point, you know. Once they have a doubt, they go straight to the point. So, um, the children that usually come to this festival, we can say it's children that have more opportunities, maybe upper middle class or upper class, you know. Um, it's like in a specific area, very nice area, very um, there's a lot of people with money there and all that, no? And then we had the contrast, you know, people on a shelter situation. So we had those perspectives. And this child, his first question was, if it's so difficult for her to go to school in this country, why doesn't she go back to her country? And you know, and it sounds very logical, no, from that perspective, you know, because he's seeing her frustrated, and every time it becomes like more frustrated, and her dream and her hope, it's falling apart. And I was like, wow, you know. And then Sara and Paulina, the producers, well, they were able to, in a very objective and precise way, which is the way we should all communicate, but especially with children. Um, well, they were able to establish that people, when they migrate, they don't leave their place voluntarily. You know, there's certain conditions, economic conditions, certain conditions of violence, persecution, that make people flee their their place, no? And if we all had the opportunity of having the possibility of living a fulfilled life in our country of origin, we would be there, definitely, you know. And then I think the kid was able to understand that there was this part that he wasn't como like thinking of, because the film doesn't uh, focuses on the reasons why they left. They focus on the dream that she has, you know. And it's again because we wanted to establish a different approach, no, and dignify a little bit more, and because also there's so many reasons why a person leaves their country, um, and we wanted to leave it open because it could be this reason, that reason, or this and that, you know. And then the kid was like, okay. And then I was like, man, maybe we didn't pull it, you know. Maybe these type of questions are telling us that maybe uh, we had to approach it differently or something, you know. I don't know, maybe had a little bit of this context of why they left, you know. But then a little girl from Venezuela that was coming from the shelter, maybe she was maybe 5 years old, and she said, I really love this movie. That little girl represents me. And I was like, oh man, you know, wow. And and then we had a dialogue going on with the kids, you know. that they were coming from different backgrounds, but we were at the same cinema, under the same roof, in the same country, in the same city, you know? And then others questions and comments started developing, and by the end of the day, Espacio Migrante was also giving, like, after, for the especially for the adults that were very interested on numbers and the situation, like politically and economically, and so they were able to talk more about the work that they do in the shelter, and how complex it is, the situations for for migrants, and especially children migrating, you know, because sometimes, obviously, in that age, it's not like you're migrating because it's like you're taking the decision of, you know, it's you're following your parents in a lot of cases, no? There are some children that do migrate without their parents, but then others don't really understand still. Like this kid was saying, you know, why do I have to leave my country? And some do have it very, very clear, no? I think the majority do, of the migrant children do know why they are leaving. And it's more like the nostalgic of the grandma, of the trees, of maybe uh, the differences that they're gonna find, especially if they're coming from maybe more like a countryside, or semi urban areas, no? And at the end of the film, at the end of the questions and answers, I told the children, I shared a little bit of my experience as a child when I started going in school in elementary in the United States. And I told them, when I was a child, I have to go to this place that I didn't understand why I had to go to this place, to school, to a new school. And they spoke another language that I didn't speak. And I left behind my friends, everything, you know. But then I come to this place, and 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 the other kids start looking at me strange, you know, and they don't want to sit next to me. And I knew some could even speak Spanish, but nobody wanted to sit with me. And uh, and then I found out that I wasn't the only one.
Mm.
There was other kids that nobody wanted to sit next to them. So I started sitting next to them. And I mean, I was coming from Mexico, and then there was this kid that was coming from Africa, and then there was this kid that was coming from India. And then, even though we didn't speak English, or at least me, we started creating a friendship. And then one day they invite me to eat at their house, and it wasn't tacos and burritos, you know, which is something that I'm used to and that I love, obviously, no? But I was having Indian food for the first time in my life, and it was overwhelmed. It was amazing. And then they would put music that I've never heard. And then I was fortunate to experience at a very young age uh, the privilege that we have when we live in a place when there's so much cultural diversity. Because at the end, uh, we are established in a geography, but we belong to the world, and the world, as it was made, it wasn't created with borders, you know. Um, so I told the kids that the film that they just saw, it was just the beginning. That I invited them for them to finish the film, and if they found somebody in the classroom that came from another part, uh, I would encourage them to sit next to them, and that the worst that it could happen is they can taste maybe something different but delicious, and they could learn uh, different games. They can learn different words. They can learn how people celebrate differently certain holidays that we also celebrate, but maybe different, and sometimes holidays that we not even thought they existed. You know, and I think it was a very moving, that screening. It was very, very beautiful, and I'm very glad that we were able to have the families of the shelter, the kids of the shelter, and also the kids that usually come to this festival,
I mean,
because it was a great encounter.
that's a beautiful story. I love hearing stories like that, especially, sharing your experience and sort of relating to the little girl in the shelter from Venezuela. And, you also have rich kids also at the screenings. Like, you know what? At the end of the day, you might be rich, she might be poor, she might be from a different country, but you're still kids. You still have the love of play, the love of, the things that kids love. Question for you. So you would say that this film is like on a festival circuit right now, and what other plans do you have for the film? And then I also want to ask you, like, do you see yourself, do you have any new projects in the pipeline? Is there anything you're working on now, or you can answer those two questions.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, I mean, the film has been in festivals since last year. Uh, Very interesting, because uh, Asia has loved the film. We never thought that Asia would be interested in the film because we think it so has like so much like Latino and Caribbean bases, and we were very surprised. Japan took the film in a festival, uh, two festivals in India, Turkey, Nepal. Um, so I think that was a great, great surprise, and it's something beautiful because you don't know it until you put it out there. You say, okay, why not? We all want to conquest Europe. No, we all want to conquest like this established countries that have like this great festivals and all that, which is great, of course, of course. But there's audiences all over. And for example, I know like the screenings in India, there was like 1,000 people seeing the film. You know.
Nice.
Uh-huh. So that was a very beautiful surprise. And then curiously, some festivals didn't took the film, um, that we thought we were like almost certain they would take it. But then we also thought, not also maybe, I mean, for me, it's my first feature film. I know there's like some technical issues and some things that I can get better on the next film. But I also thought maybe the narrative part, maybe there are festivals that are not really interesting in having this migrant stories in their festivals. But maybe there's a lot of reason. Every festival has their own perspective, their own interest. Um, but now I think we are coming into a point with what's going to happen with the distribution of the film. Um, and that's going to be up to the producers what they want to do. At the end, like the film was produced for two reasons, which is I think resume in the experience in the theater in Mexico City that I just shared with you, which was to create empathy, and the other to let the migrant community know they have the right for an education in Mexico, regardless of their status, of their legal status, and that what I'm saying is real. It's not fiction. There's a law. And it could have different names in the different states. But for example, here in Tijuana, you cannot reject a child for not having uh, their final paper work of or migration status defined. If it's in process, if they have a document or not, a child, independently of where it's coming from, being Mexican or not, has the right for education. So those are the main reasons why the movie was produced. So I know they want like a broad distribution, and I know they want to do something very personal, like take the film to the shelters, take the shelters to the movie theater, uh, and also take it to schools because the theme is school. And as I also said, no, it is important for us to know that in reality, if we reject the other, if we don't want to sit next to the other, we lose more than we gain, like literally. Um, so those are one of the things. And I know when the festival happened, there was a curator of a national television, which is a very important national television in Mexico, which is Canal 22, Channel 22. And one of the curators approached me, and they said that they were very, very, very interested in putting the film out there nationwide, in TV. But it's all gonna be the yeah. Well, right now, I mean, once you finish a project like a feature, and obviously in an independent way, a lot of work has to go to move the feature, no? Move it to festivals, um, and so on. So I think it has been like a year, more than a year of dedicating myself to that, like almost like full time, you could say, on my creative time, on the time that I have for creating. But now I come to a point that I'm working on a new project. I'm still on the pre-production. I have like a couple of scripts of short. I want to come back a little bit to the short films, um, and I really enjoyed like putting the camera to the perspective of the child. So this short film that I want to do, it's I want to focus more like on the child perspective and more like on the on the children for as a public as well. And I think it's something that I've been close to, but I haven't like gone into fully. And I have this little short film that I want to do that also has to do about two kids coming from different backgrounds, and also it also abords the theme of racism, um, but in reality, it's a film about friendship, you know, and it's about focus a little bit more on the Chinese community in Tijuana in Mexico because we have a beautiful and extended Chinese community, and I also want to like acknowledge that in this film and also like within the screenings that we had, especially with children, I also saw the importance of working these themes since an early age can really, really, really make a difference, because they haven't had como like establish uh, a consolidated idea of of certain concepts, and I think it's more difficult for us as an adult to break those concepts that we have established. Like, oh no, it's different. It's bad. No, it's uh, and then I think at an early age, it could be something more um, possible to at least create that question. Maybe it doesn't create the answer, but maybe it creates that question. Why they have to come here? So if it's difficult here, how difficult could it be over there? You know? And I think and that's the project that I'm working on. I also have other uh, two more scripts also from a child perspective, and I think I wanna work my way out like on a develop like a human development stage, like from childhood, uh, maybe youth, teenager, like coming of age, and then go to adult. Uh, but I think I started in fiction. I started backward because my first uh, fiction was about uh, uh, being a, elderly, no, person, no, which is called Old Man, the film. And advices for an advice for young filmmakers or people starting making films is um, you have something to say, and film could be the medium for you to say something. And what you have to say, it's very important, even though some could say that everything has been said, but not, but it hasn't been said by you and your life experience and your fears and your desires and your passion and your love and your doubts. So it is very important for you to tell your stories. Um, and we also have to acknowledge that most of the stories are being dominated by certain groups, especially men, especially white men, and it is very, very, very important for you to pull through that template because those narratives of people coming from other backgrounds, from other um, the diversity, it's what it's most needed now, I think, in film. And um, and I know it's true because I've seen it when I saw for the first time an Iranian film, no? Which is maybe another filmmaker that I didn't really talk about, which is Abbas Kiarostami, no? And a whole new perspective developed to myself, and it's very different when you see a film made by a female, and not a male. The perspective is totally different, and it's totally needed because at the end, uh, the human condition is not just one, and and it's a just a massive variety of what conforms humanity, and that needs to be portrayed, it's important. And when we portray stories that doesn't have to do with our background and our gender, always approach them within a dignity basis, always be responsible, of portraying characters with dignity, even though they can be in a very vulnerable place. That could be one of
I
my
think
advice.
that's cool. I think that's really good advice, man. I really did. So I really enjoyed our conversation and look forward to seeing you do extraordinary stuff. I really love the film, veterinarian, I mean, teacher, uh, veterinarian astronaut. I think it was a really good film. I mean, I love the story angle of it, the human aspect of it. These people are just trying to make their lives better. And I think every human being can relate to that because we're always striving to make ourselves better, to make our children be more successful than we are. So I think that the film accomplished that, you know. Um, so which is really good. So again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it. And if you want to tell anyone your socials, this is to be the cool time to do that.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you, Charles, and thank you for having this important film festival, the Art Vision Caribbean and Latino Film Festival. I think it's a very important film festival talking about the need of the diversity of the perspectives that need to be put out there. And hopefully, in the future, we can see each other again and collaborating also. And personal social media, it's in you can find me on Instagram as Quixote with a K, and I can share you the text so you can maybe put it out there. And I also have two projects that I didn't really talk about, which is Stop Border Skits in Motion, which is a project that I work with youth and children around animation, stop motion animation. And I also have another project that it's called Autism and Film, which because I also work with children, youth, and adults with autism. And there's also the Instagram page for Maestra, Veterinaria, Astronauta that I would also share with you, so you could put it out there too.
Okay, cool. So thanks for coming. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please follow and subscribe. This podcast has been brought to you by All Vision Caribbean and Latino Film Festival 2026 edition. Submit your films now on Film Freeway.